Hello and welcome to the Football Betting POD Treble, a new standalone video on our brand new YouTube channel. On this show, I task our three betting experts to offer up one pick each on this weekend's football action, which will then combine into a treble and track our results. Expect a clash of styles, approaches, and hopefully a clash of heads. Joined, as always, by betting experts football editor Sam Ingram.
Hello, Dan. How are we doing?
Good, mate. Scott Thornton.
All good, all good.
And Daniele Fiscalo.
Hello, hi again.
Right, let's get straight into it. As you know the rules. Let's try and keep the selections to sort of a lower price, kind of aiming for 1.6 to about 2.2-ish, usually singles for the pod. The regular pod will we'll aim for a little bit higher, but as it's a treble, we can go a little bit lower with the picks. So, Sam, do you want to kick us off with your first?
Yes, I'm going to Brighton versus Leicester. Brighton win 2-0 at 2.00 at evens. This is fairly straightforward, I think. You probably guess why I've gone for this. Leicester have been atrocious recently, really bad. They served up another disappointing 90 against Newcastle on Monday. And despite being at home and despite trailing within minutes, Leicester accumulated 0.49 XG at home in front of home fans. That game followed 0.09 XG at the Etihad, 0.1 XG at Stamford Bridge, 0.37 XG away against West Ham, and 0.33 XG away at Goodison Park. So they've posted 0.86 XG from the last 4 away games in the Premier League, which is just pitiful, really. And with that, Leicester City have become the first side in Football League history to lose 8 consecutive home league fixtures without scoring. Foxes overtook Watford's previous unwanted record of 7 successive defeats to 0 between December 1971 and March 1972. And they've also gone 8 straight league fixtures without scoring a goal, and the longest run in the Premier League for that is 9 consecutive matches set by Palace in 1994-95. So Leicester can match that here in Brighton, and with everything I've touched on and how poorly they're playing at the minute, I just can't resist that evens price on Brighton. I really don't like taking these kind of bets where a team's on like a ridiculous unbeaten streak, or in this case like a barren scoring run, because like it has to end at some point, and that does scare me. But still, with everything I've seen with my own eyes recently, all the data and how they travel to other Premier League grounds, I've just got to back against them. So Brighton win 2-0 on the weekend at evens.
Yeah, they look absolutely dire at the moment, Leicester, don't they? I don't know if you watched that Newcastle game last week. They were earlier this week. It was woeful. But as you said, the win 2-0 market is not fun.
It's not fun. It's not ideal. And I heard the other day as well. Do you see the Harry Winks story that's come out? I think Van Nistelrooy basically said he wasn't going to be selected in the squad because he refused to move down towards nearer the training ground for a night. Harry Winks said he wouldn't do that because he just had he's got a newborn baby. He said he wouldn't do that, but he just travelled down as normal, and apparently Van Nistelrooy kicked off. And anyway, these kind of stories, they don't come out of clubs who are chasing for Europe. They don't come out of clubs who are in a good rhythm, good form, and it just maybe pulls the curtain back a little bit on what's happening at Leicester. I don't think it's a happy dressing room. They're playing some awful football. The fans are not happy at all, and I would not be surprised to see them not score again against Brighton. Obviously, good team. Ever, yeah.
It's if they don't score in this game, they equal the Premier League record, don't they, for most consecutive matches without scoring a goal.
Yeah.
What about Betsy though? What about Betsy? Are we worried about Betsy? I thought Betsy lost the plot, but we've done that a few times. Plus 1.5 on the Asian handicap. We're saying 1-0 win. 1-0 win for Brighton.
Yeah. But I think it hasn't lost the plot, Betsy, because Brighton have won only 2 home matches this season by more than a goal margin, and one was against Crawley Town, the other one against Chelsea. So I don't think they lost the plot. They could well win 1-0.
Keep everyone happy.
Any other result, of course, is a defeat for the treble, but they could win 1.
Yeah. Betsy predictions for this match are 1.78 for Brighton, 0.78 for Leicester. As Scott alluded to there, Betsy's best bet of the week for the Premier League is Leicester plus 1.5 against Brighton in this match. And the Betsy best bets for the season for the Premier League alone are looking at plus 17.6% ROI from 19 different selections. So not to be trifled with, but as we said, it's a 1-0 win for Brighton keeps everyone happy. Scott, do you want to give us your leg for this treble?
So I'm taking under 30.5 shots and under 4.5 cards in Liverpool versus West Ham, and that's priced at 1.77. A good place to start with bagging unders cards is the referee. Madley's at the whistle, 3.69 cards per game in the Premier League, the fourth lowest of any referee. So ideal there. Liverpool last 10 matches across all competitions have seen an average of just 2.3 cards, and West Ham under Potter have seen an average of 3.5 cards. So all comfortably under the 4.5. So I think that part of this bet should be quite straightforward in that sense. West Ham ranked very low over the course of the whole season for cards their matches, seeing the third least in the Premier League. Potter had a big job in his hands at West Ham. I haven't seen too much pushback from West Ham fans at the moment. Obviously, they're showing up and watching some pretty boring football, so there will be some on match day. I think the general consensus is that he needs time. He needs to change the squad because the way they were defending under Lopetegui was atrocious. So it's very much been shore up the defence and make West Ham a little bit more difficult to beat. They've obviously changed the formation. They're playing with 5 at the back, 3 at the back, whatever you want to call it. But they're just struggling to create chances. Their matches have seen an average of 2.18 goals since Potter come in, which over the course of the season, that would have been the fewest in the Premier League. There's really just not a lot of attacking output, considering they do have some talented attacking players like Bowen and Kudus. So the fact that West Ham matches have been fizzling out kind of points to a lack of shots. So there's no contradiction with this one. A lack of shots is definitely looks to be on the agenda. So under 30.5 is what we're going for. There have been 26 shots or less in 8 of West Ham's last 10 league games. So again, a nice return. West Ham league matches since Potter took charge have seen 23.45 shots on average. Again, it's very, very promising. And then we look at Liverpool. Liverpool obviously a very good team in their own right. They've been playing some fantastic stuff under Slot. But the approach to the game is quite different to what we saw under Klopp. They're less keen to really hammer the ball forward. And their recent home games have shown that. Their last 10 home games across all competitions have seen an average of 24.6 shots. Liverpool are having 16.9 of those and conceding 7.7. I'd fancy them to restrict West Ham here, and they're very, very good at just maintaining control. They don't really break a sweat at times. They're less rock and roll than they were under the previous regime, so under 30.5 shots against a West Ham side that are stifling their opponents but struggling to get anything going themselves looks very good here. So a lack of cards, a lack of action, a boring maybe 2-0 Liverpool win.
Yeah, you get the feeling that if you offer both sides like a 1-0 or a 2-0 Liverpool win, now they'd probably both take it, right? It's, Liverpool aren't really going anywhere. It's on the home straight for the title. West Ham, not going down. They're not going to get into the top half or anything close to it. So, yeah, I like this bet, especially the under on cards. I think there's not going to be much bite in it. It's probably not going to be one for the neutrals. Sam, Daniele, what do you think?
My main thought is hope Fulkrug starts at Anfield. That'd be nice to see. West Ham haven't started with a striker for ages. In the game before against Wolves, Evan Ferguson started, but before that, it was just a mixture of Bowen, Kudus. Like, they're great in forward areas, great in the final third, but they're not strikers. So it'd be good to see. Obviously, Fulkrug's been injured. Evan Ferguson maybe not up to match sharpness, which is why he's not started up top consistently for West Ham since his January loan signing. But it'd just be good to see West Ham with that focal point, with the two lads on the wing and that midfield in behind, and just see how efficient they can be under Potter, because we've not seen that yet.
I mean, it's a Liverpool that comes on the back of a full week off after having had a few minutes off of Fulham last season. They won't panic. 11-point lead, 7 games to go. Still, obviously, a lot to earn. But I think this is going to be a controlled performance from Liverpool, the one where they can set the tempo, maybe score a couple of goals early, then make some changes in the second half. So yeah, I think probably they'll be able to shut West Ham down and make sure it's a professional display. I mean, Liverpool have slowed down already. They won't reach that high points tally they were projected at the beginning of the season. But from here to say that they are stumbling over the line, there's a big difference. So I think it will be a controlled performance from them.
We see it all the time, don't we? When teams wrap up league titles, their performance just like goes down a notch, maybe 5-10%. And at this level, that is a massive, massive drop down. So
Liverpool did it when they won the title a couple of years ago, didn't they? They had that after the title was wrapped up during that COVID year. Obviously, COVID year was a bit unique, but form sort of dropped off a cliff in the last 5-6 matches, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the fact they're out the Champions League probably means the intensity is just they haven't got it to hand anymore. The intensity has just gone. You can't bottle it and get it back. It's they've had a good season, Liverpool, very good season. They were beaten by a very good PSG team, and I think that's just taken the initiative away. They don't need to deliver from now until the end of the season.
Interesting team to bet on in the next couple of weeks. Daniele, over to you.
That's on Saturday, Inter Milan against Cagliari, over 2.5 goals at 170, a particularly high price for an over, considering that they are the top scorers in Serie A against a team that's only won one away game this season. But of course, I think it takes into account the fact that Inter has got this game sandwiched between the Champions League ties. Yet Inter are yet to fail to score at San Siro this season. 5 of the past 6 home games have produced at least 3 goals. Of course, it is tricky to play in between Champions League games. There will be rotations. There are a couple of injuries. Inter are without Dumfries, Di Marco, probably. But Inter haven't won a league games by more than 2 goals margin since the end of January. So they've been very nip and tuck. And as we anticipated, the game at Parma was a close contest ultimately. But it's also true that there is a halo effect after Champions League positive result for Inter, which have been mostly positive this season, to be fair, and they carried over into large domestic victories. In 8 out of 10 Inter post-Champions League games, they have been or at least 3 goals scored, and Inter has scored 3 against Torino post-Champions League, 4 against Juve post-Champions League, and they beat Parma, Lecce, Monza, Atalanta, scoring at least twice against Atalanta, and 3 or more against all the other side. Look, Cagliari are not a pushover. They've only been beaten on the road by more than a goal margin just twice, but they are virtually saved. So I think a team that has scored against Juve, Lazio, and Milan away, they might fancy the chances against, of course, the league leaders who haven't kept the same amount of clean sheets in the league as they did last season. Inter still projected to finish top of the league, but with a very low point tally, 82 points. So probably everything will be decided at the last game of the season, which is exciting. For me, is an over 2.5 goals. I think Inter are going to try to wrap this early and make the changes in the second half rather than the other way around, because otherwise they leave themselves too exposed. Over 2.5 goals.
Yeah, looks good. Over 2.5 has landed in 5 of Inter's last 6 at home in Serie A. Yeah. Betsy projecting 3.02 goals for this game. So, yeah, the overs looks good.
Yeah, especially with that projection, 3.02, which is, by the way, is the highest tally in Serie A this weekend. Inter projected to score 2.38 goals. Cagliari do have goal scorers in them, the likes of Zortea, Piccoli, Viola. Last season they finished 2-2, by the way, this game, which slowed down Inter party parade. So I don't think it's a gimme that Inter here keeps a clean sheet. Could be a 2-1 victory as we saw against Udinese, maybe 3-1 if Lautaro Martinez, who scored at the weekend, he continues to do his streaky strikers form, but we'll see.
Yeah, Cagliari might fancy it as well, Daniele, with obviously they'll know that this game is going to be sandwiched by Inter's 2 legs in the Champions League. They might fancy themselves to go, but they might go for the game and try and get something.
Well, they might. I mean, it could be an important game. It could be a good scalp. I mean, obviously, Cagliari, it is a team that does the best performances at home. But under Davide Nicola, they become resolute and hard to beat. The problem we saw with Inter in the league is that the doubts and the fatigue, the mental fatigue, sometimes creeps in the second half, and that's where there could be goals. So yeah, I think that could be the script of the game. I would expect Inter to score once or twice in the first half, and the next goal could come, or Cagliari do what Udinese did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Scott, Sam, any contrasting opinions to this one? Happy with that addition to the treble?
Yeah, Inter are capable of getting it by themselves, aren't they? So if there is that one eye on the Champions League, particularly in the second half, obviously they can't go into the game with one eye on the Champions League with Napoli hot on their tails. But if they do have a 2-goal lead, you'd imagine there'll be substitutions, and then Cagliari might get the bet over the line later on.
Yeah. So, just to recap the pod treble, Sam Ingram has gone for Brighton to win 2-0 versus Leicester. It's a 2.00. Scott Thornton has gone for under 30.5 shots and under 5 cards or under 4.5 cards in Liverpool versus West Ham. That's a 1.77. And Daniele Fiscaro has gone for over 2.5 goals in Inter Milan versus Cagliari. If you put all three of those into a treble, you'll get odds of 6.02, which we will be tracking for a quarter of a unit. We'll be tracking the individual selections for a unit each as well. Thank you, Sam Ingram.
Very much.
Thank you, Scott Thornton.
Thank you.
Thank you to Daniele Fiscalo.
Thank you.
And thank you from me. We'll be back next week.